Hello everyone, and today we're back into another top 5. And today we're going to be ranking all of the metal types in all of Loomian Legacy from worst to best. So, this is originally going to be a top 5 metal types, but there are so many good metal types in the game that I couldn't do it. So, instead we're just going to rank them all from worst to best. So, let's get right into this list. But, before we do that, we got another giveaway. And we got a Loomian that can deal with pretty much most of these metal types. It's a Gamma Ikazune. This was part of my 500 subscribers giveaway as well, but they picked the Dusket. So yeah, Gamma Ikazune. If you want this Gamma Ikazune, just say Gamma Ikazune in the comments below. I will give you a number, and we're going to spin the wheel, the number generator wheel, and if your number is picked, you will win a Gamma Ikazune. And please leave your Roblox username in the comments. I've been struggling with giving the prizes away. So, let's get right onto the list. So, number 11 on the list is actually going to be Submarine. And it's kind of crazy to think that Submarine is the worst metal type in all of Loomian Legacy. But this honestly just shows how good metal types are. I mean, with Rev Up, this is one of the scariest Rev Up users in the game. And it hits really hard. The reason why it is at number 11, I think Munch Wheel does the job better, and also, I don't know, it's kind of tough to use. It has a ton of weaknesses, which definitely makes it struggle defensively, but Submarine can sweep. It has solid coverage, Aqua Jaws lowers melee defense, and and it doesn't just harass Seer Knights, it completely destroys a lot of certain Loomians, especially in the late game. I mean, Submarine is really scary. I definitely would want to be careful with this thing, because once it gets a couple rev-ups and a couple sharpens, this thing can sweep pretty much any team. The reason why it's at number 11 is because so many weaknesses, and it's kind of hard to get those setups, unlike with, like, Munch Wheel or, like, any other metal type we'll talk about on this list. Although it is one of the few metal types which are not weak to fire, which definitely does give it a pretty solid advantage, at least compared to other metal types. So yeah, Submarine, number 11, the worst metal type in Loomian Legacy. But yeah, doesn't really show how bad, but Submarine is still very, 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 very good. So yeah, number 10 on the list is actually going to be Stratosaur. I was originally going to have Stratosaur at number 11, but there's a couple reasons why I put Stratosaur at number 10. One, has solid range defense and solid health. It's very good on both sides. 2, Magnify and Toxic Filter. Magnify and Toxic Filter are really good. Just being immune to toxic types is a massive advantage. And also with Magnify, really gives it a massive advantage now. Like, it really helps it out. Magnify makes it so you can penetrate through Tyrexes now, which is insane. And also, it only has 2 weaknesses. It's only weak to fire and electric, which can easily be played around with an Ikazune. So, not very hard to play around as well. Stratosaur is definitely a very solid metal type, but the reason it's not higher is because I think the other metal types are just a little bit better. So yeah, Stratosaur being number 10 isn't really that much of a shot, but it is still very scary, especially if used correctly. If used correctly, this thing can destroy. So yeah, it's mainly just because the other metal types are better is the only reason it is ranked this low. But yeah, there's Stratosaur, number 10. Number 9 on the list is actually going to be Protagon. Protagon is at number 9, the 3rd worst metal type, which is kind of shocking because it is Rome, but there's a few reasons. 121 speed and 111 range attack is pretty good, but the biggest problem with Protagon is that it needs to rely on its Analyze boost. And a lot of Loomians, let's just say a lot of Loomians nowadays, put their range defense higher than their melee defense. And yes, Protagon does have Steel Crusher, but it doesn't do enough damage. And if you don't get that +1 range boost, Protagon does not hit that hard. And it kind of struggles, too. It can be very good as a late game cleaner if used correctly, there's no doubt about it. It's amazing coverage, and it has Deja Vu, which is really good. But, you know, you really need that +1 range boost. If you don't have that +1 range boost, there's kind of no reason to use Protagon. Like, it's scary, it's very powerful, and it's very fast, but it's again, you need that analyze boost. You just simply don't hit hard enough without that +1. So that's why Protagon is ranked so low. It still is very scary, especially in the late game, but you need a lot to go your way, and a lot of Loomians exploit at Protagon at this point. A lot of them just make their range defense higher, so it only gets a melee attack boost, which is very unfortunate. So that's why Protagon is ranked number 9. Number 8 on this list is actually going to be Hunder. And the reason why Hunder is ranked higher than Protagon is a couple reasons. One, the coverage is better. Coverage is way better. You can flinch, and the ability Power Jaw can actually increase your attack. Actually increases your attack all the time, which is good. It actually makes Hunder hit consistently harder, and also makes it a lot more useful, especially compared to Protagon. It's still number 8, but it's definitely a lot better than Protagon. It's still very fast as well. If you get a couple big flinches, you can completely nail people's teams. It is the luck of a draw, though, so it's not a very good thing you should hope for. But if it comes down to it, you get that one flinch, and you can really beat the game. And that's why Hunder is ranked number 8. It's ranked higher than a couple of the other metal types because of it, even though there is a lot of melee types like Oxydrake, Tundralin, Lumelo, Himber, Ventation. So yeah, but despite that though, it can flinch them down, and it also is just very good against normal Loomians. And that's why Hunder is at number 8. And it's definitely better than Protagon because you have your ability increase your attack all the time, which makes it help a whole lot. So yep, Hunder being at number 8. Number 7 onto the list is actually going to be a shock because it's Cyborg. And I know a lot of people are thinking, put Cyborg at the bottom, but it has very solid bulk. 73 health, 82 range defense, and 78 defense is alright. But if you combine that with tank, oh my goodness, this thing is ultra tanky. It's very solid defensive typing. It is quad weak to earth, which does hurt a little bit. But even then, this thing can live quad earth hits with tank. And with power focus, this is a very good mixed attacker. You can run Muck Blast, you can run Steel Crusher, and boom! You could do a lot of damage to a Ventilin Ventation Core, Tundralin Ventation Core. It's really good. Cyborg is very scary, especially if you can hit a couple hypnotizers. You could also run the handy ability, which means you could just give heavy shackles out of the blue, which is insane, completely mess up fast Loomians. And you hit solidly hard. I think this is one of the weakest metal types in terms of power, but it makes it up by defense and capability. And that's why Cyborg, in my opinion, is in number 7, above Protagon and above Hunder, because it tanks a lot of hits really well, and even though it has no reliable recovery, it still does the job very well. Health Amulet keeps it alive for the most part. So, yeah, Cyborg is really, really scary. So, number 6 onto the list is actually going to be Oxydrake. And Oxydrake is not in the top 5. There's a couple reasons for that. But Outburst and Steel Crusher and Driving Force, Bulk Up, Rejuvenate, 123 attack. Oh my gosh, this thing hits hard. And it has some meh abilities. The abilities it has is meh. Combative is the best one because you could get you can get Boost, which is insane. So like Terrifying and like Ancient Roar gives you stat buffs. But the biggest thing it does is Driving Force. Driving Force is so good, and Outburst just makes it very, very hard. Very good melee bulk, too. You can run this as a melee bulky tank, and it works very well. You can run it as an offensive one. You can run Clever to make it tank range hits better. You can drop Steel Crusher. You can keep Steel Crusher. You can drop Driving Force. There's a lot of different ways you can actually run Oxydrake. The only reason it's not in the top 5 is, one, I think the top 5 metal-type Loomians are just a little bit better. And 2, Ancient Metal offensively is not the greatest. It's amazing defensively because you have 9 resistances to only 3 weaknesses. But, yeah. Offensively, it's not the best. But with Driving Force, it definitely does help out. And it just screws over this Mocho. And that's why Oxydrake is number 6 onto this list. So, number 5 onto the list of metal types is actually going to be Guardron. And If it wasn't for a bunch of the updates in the past, this thing would be the worst metal type. But with Accelerate, Clutch, and Raidful Plushie, puts this thing in the top 5. Yes, with 132 range attack at +2, and with an Accelerate, you can destroy a lot of teams with Guardron. And since Clutch keeps you alive, yeah, it's insane. You pretty much need priority or Icicle Traps or Barbs up. And there's been a lot of Barb setters, and a lot of people that get rid of Barbs at the moment, so even then it might not even work. Guardron is very scary. It always had very high attack and great coverage. But now it has the capability to stay alive and outspeed everything, which really makes it very scary. And it's not that hard to use, too. If you run Clutch and Rageful Plushie, and even if you don't get the Rageful Plushie boost, you're still getting a lot of damage with Guardron. And yeah, Deep Freeze does help with those water types as well. So that's why Guardron's in the top 5. It's very hard, can live hits with Clutch, and it just seems to be very good. That's why it's better than Hunter and Protagon, because, yeah, it has a little bit capabilities. So yeah, here we go. Number 4 onto the list. And number 4 is weird because it's actually going to be Serenite. And I thought I was going to put Serenite in the top 3, but I thought about it a little bit and I kept it out. It has Flaming Kick, Stirring Steel. I mean, Stirring Steel's awesome. Body Crash is amazing. Terrifying just completely destroys melee tanks. And this thing has a whopping 3 quad resistances. 3 quad resistances is absolutely insane. With Awakening, it can hit hard. With Terrifying, it can be very tanky. It can run Health Amulet. It can basically be Cyborg with Health Amulet. And it will work very, 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 very well. And it has better range bulk as well compared to other metal types as well. So Serenite's a very good metal type. And even better, it has Barbs and Slapdown capability. That's why Serenite is in the top 5 and Cyborg is down at number 7. Serenite is extremely scary, and there's a bunch of different ways you can run him too, and that's why Serenite is ranked in the top 5. I kept it out the top 3 though, because I think the other Loomians have a couple more it can do. Although, I can definitely see Serenite being in the top 3 easily. I can easily see that. I mean, having 3 quad resistances is absolutely crazy. And you only have 4 weaknesses. One being quad weak to Earth, which does suck, but yeah, you got 3 quad resistances, which is just crazy. You can just swap into any of those moves and soak the hit. Number 3 onto the list is actually going to be a shocker because it's Munch Wheel. Munch Wheel in the top 3, but I have quite a few reasons. Specialization Steel Crusher's insane. You can also run Quick Punch if you want to. Hits pretty hard with that. And has pretty good defense overall, and with specialty boots, this thing becomes a sweeper, especially the specialization version. You could also run the Rev Up version with Bulk Up, and I know what you're thinking. Submarine had Rev Up, and it's at the bottom of the list. So why is Munch Wheel number 3? Well, it has Bulk Up. So it increases its melee bulk. It increases its melee bulk along with its attack. And it has better coverage than Submarine. I mean, Dark Metal is better than Metal Water, in my opinion, which is just insane. And this thing can cause mayhem. This thing is insane. You can also run other elemental chomp moves. You can run priority with Quick Punch. And since you increase your melee bulk with Bulk Up, priority moves can't really defeat you. And that's the reason why I put it Munch Wheel at number 3. Plus, there's a lot of different sets you can run. You can also run Rageful Plushie. I got swept by a Rageful Plushie one of these Munch Wheels once, which is just insane. Munch Wheel is definitely still the scariest sweeper in the game, and I honestly think it is better than Submarine, just because of the reasons. Plus, you can also run Specialization, and that's why Munch Wheel is in the top 3. So, yeah. Number 2, the second best metal type in all of Loomian Legacy, is Valkyrie. I did not expect to put Valkyrie this high, but it has so much going for it. It has 125 range attack while having Awakening. Yeah, hits very hard. Solid bulk as well, and has great coverage. Light, Metal Blast, Air Blade, and even Raging Howl. This thing hits hard. This thing hits hard. This is basically the Tatab for range attackers. And with specialty boots, oh my gosh, this thing can sweep. And if you don't run specialty boots, you can click Magnify. And boy, +2 Valkyrie, oh my gosh, it can sweep. And even better, this thing has Rejuvenate. You can heal health back with Valkyrie. You can run a bit of everything. You can run a bulky attacker. You can run a magnify set. You can run a flash and flee pivot set. You can run a holy slash set. You can run a specialty boot set. This thing can run a ton of different moves. But yeah, Valkyrie is definitely really good, but it's not quite as good as the #1 metal type in all of Loomian Legacy. But Valkyrie is definitely amazing. So, yeah, let's head to the best one. And the best metal type in all of Loomian Legacy is Tyrex. I don't think people are too shocked that Tyrex is the best one. I mean, it has Metal Earth, which is amazing offensively. It's something that can beat the Tundral and Venilin meta, which is insane. Can run Scapegoat, has Terrifying, and has so many resistances. It is weak to quite a few things, but with Terrifying, you nullify a lot of melee attackers. And you could set up with Sharpen, and you could even run a couple other moves if you really want to, but there's basically only a couple sets which you can run with Tyrex, which that's the big reason why it is. That's probably its biggest flaw. But this thing hits very hard, and it's very bulky. It can nullify a lot of melee attackers. And, oh boy, poor Zulong and Goldtooth, oh gosh, those things get destroyed. And Tyrex is really solid. This thing, I don't know what it is. It does everything right. And even though it doesn't have recovery, it is still very bulky, especially if running with the health amulet. And this thing, yeah, all it does is just tanks hits and hits hard. And that's why Tyrex is #1 for the best metal type in all of Loomian Legacy. I mean, it sweeps this guy's team. It could, this is not even supposed to be a sweeper, and it sweeps this guy's team. So it makes a lot of sense why Tyrex is #1, and it's used a lot in I Eat Your Faces tournaments as well. So yeah, so the best metal type in all of Loomian Legacy. Tyrex definitely deserves that. It is amazing. So yeah, if you want to win the Gamma Ikazune, just say Gamma Ikazune in the comments, and I will give you a number. So good luck on that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all all later. So, bye-bye!